Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, which is Yevamos Daf Lamed. We begin right on top at the Mishnah. Shloisha Achen, you have three brothers, Ruvain, Shimon, and Levi. Shnayim mehem, two of those brothers, Nesuim Shtei Achayos, are married to two sisters. Ruvain to Rachel, Shimon to Leah, Rachel and Leah are sisters. Ve'echad Nasri Nachrus. Yet a third brother, Levi, but he's married to somebody else, unrelated to these sisters. He's married to Sarah. So you have Ruvain to Rachel, Shimon to Leah, who are sisters. Levi married to Sarah, a stranger to the family. Meis echad mi balei achayos. Then Ruvain, Rachel's husband, passes away. Ve'ka nas Nasri Nachrus es ishtay. And Levi, who is married to Sarah, he performs the Yibum. He marries Rachel, Ruvain's widow. Umeitz, and then he passes away. And now he leaves behind Rachel, who he was miyabim from Ruvain, and his own personal wife, Sarah. Now these two women are now Yevamos to the sole remaining brother, Shimon. Problem is, Shimon happens to be married to Leah, who is Rachel's sister. In which case, Rachel to Shimon is an erva, Achos Ishta, his wife's sister. Not only that, since Rachel joined Sarah's family prior to Levi's death, right? Levi was miyabim Rachel, and she entered the family together with Sarah. Sarah now is affected as well. She is a tsaras erva, the companion wife of an erva, in which case both nashim are potter from yibum. Harishena, the first one, which is the first one, the one that fell liyibum first, way back when, that's Rachel, Ruvain's former wife, who is now incorporated into Levi's family. When Levi passes away, she is Yoitza Mishemachos Isha. She now leaves the scene. She's exempted from Yibum on account of being his wife's sister, Shimon's wife, Leah's sister. Ushniya Mishum Tsaras, and Sarah is affected as well because she is the companion wife of Rachel, a Tsaras Erva. But that's because Levi was actually Miyabim Rachel and incorporated her into his family. What about if he didn't do that? Asaba Mamar. He just applied Mamar, which is some sort of pseudo Kiddushin that you do to a Yevama. So there's some sort of incorporation, but not really a true marriage with her. Umeis, and then he passed away. So although Rachel can't be Mesiyabim to Shimon, because once again Shimon is married to Rachel's sister Leah, but the question is what happens to Sarah? Is she affected as well or not? Slightly affected. Nachrus chayletzes v'misabemes. Sarah will undergo chalitza, but not Yibum. We don't allow Yibum because she's somewhat connected to Rachel, because Rachel sort of slightly connected to the family through this mamar, but since it's not a true connection, it's not really a proper incorporation, she doesn't really affect the Sarah to the extent that she would exempt her, rather the Nachris. Sarah gets chalitza, but not yibum. Says the Gemara. Let's make a diyuk in the Mishnah. Ta'ama David ba'mamar. The reason why Sarah, Levi's wife, gets affected by Rachel, the erva, is because there was mamar done, which sort of connected Rachel to the family. But if not for the mamar, Sarah will be completely unaffected by Rachel. Nachr is yibum. There would be no mamar done. And then Levi passes away. Sarah, his wife, can be misyabim to Shimon. She's totally unaffected by Rachel's presence. Even though Rachel fell to Levi, she was pending Yibum, she was awaiting Levi's Yibum to her, but since no Yibum or even mamar actually took place, it was only a Zika. She was bound to him, she was tied to him, she was meant for him. That doesn't bother us. Omar of Nachum Zisemeres, we learn from here This Mishnah teaches us that ein zika, being bound, being meant for the Yavam, doesn't really create a proper connection. It's not as though she was married to him, as though she entered the family. Vafilu b'chad acha. Here's a chiddush. Even though there's only one brother, one potential Yavam at this point. Only Levi is standing here on his own, and he's going to do the Yibum. Even in this case. The fact that she's meant for him, doesn't really mean much in terms of having it considered as though she's connected and married to him, and therefore Levi's own personal wife, Sarah, is unaffected by Rachel. And then when Levi eventually passes away, Sarah can go liyibum to Shimon. She's not Eit Sarah's Erv. Continues the Mishnah Shloisha Achim. Once again, we have three brothers. Shnai mehem nesuim shtei achayis, two of which are married to two sisters. Reuven to Rachel, Shimon to Leah. Ve'echad nasi nachrus. The same case as before, and Levi is married to a stranger, Sarah. Meis hanasui nachrus. This time, Levi passed away first. V'kinas echad mi bali achayis esishtei. And one of the husbands who are married to the sisters, Reuven or Shimon, actually did Yibum to Sarah. That's legal. Nothing wrong there. Umeis, but then this fellow passed away. So Levi passed away first, leaving behind Sarah as a Yevama. Reuven stepped forward, did Yibum to Sarah, incorporated her into his home together with his own personal wife, Rachel, who is Leah's sister, Leah, who's married to Shimon. Umeis, and now Reuven passed away, leaving behind his own personal wife, Rachel, and this Yevama, Sarah, who he inherited from Levi. What happens now? What's Shimon going to do? Harishayna yaitzeis mishum achos isha. They're both pater. The first wife, meaning Reuven's first wife, Rachel, leaves the scene. She's a achos isha. She's Shimon's wife, Leah's sister. Ushniya mishum tzaros, and the other woman as well, Sarah, is affected by the erva because she was a companion wife together with Rachel. Also, mama or mace. But let's say Reuven, upon Levi's passing, only did mamar to Levi's wife Sarah. How does that affect his own personal wife when he eventually passes away? Is she considered Sarah's erva or not? Sorry, the other way around. So let's say Reuven did mamar in Sarah, right? Again, Levi passed away first, leaving behind Sarah. Reuven stepped forward, did mamar to Sarah. How does that affect Sarah? Is it considered as though she entered the family together with Rachel or not? So he did mamar to Sarah, and then Reuven passes away. Shimon is now faced with he's faced with Rachel, Reuven's own wife, who's an erva to him. It's his wife's sister. And he's faced with Sarah, who is Levi's former wife, who accepted mamar from Reuven. Do we consider Sarah it's Sarah's erva or not? Is it as though she entered Reuven's family and joined Rachel the erva or not? Somewhere between. Nachris chalitza, let me say bemis, she gets chalitza but no yibum because of that slight connection to Reuven's family. Asks the Gemara, why the repetition? We've already discussed this concept a minute ago in the first Mishnah. Hosulamali. Why the repetition hainu hach? It's a replica of the previous halacha. The point is one and the same. You have an erva and another wife in the same family. They're both pater from yibum. And if it's not really part of the same family, there's only some sort of slight connection, then we do chalitza to the other wife. In fact, Rashi points out, if anything, the most recent Mishnah is even more obvious than the first Mishnah. Look, in the first Mishnah, what happened? The Nachris, Sarah, was was the main wife, the primary wife, right, of Levi. And Rachel, who was the erva, was the Yevamos at the initial stage, right? And then she slightly joined the family. They did a mamar to Rachel, and they sort of brought her in slightly. Still, what does the Mishnah say? That affects Sarah. She's considered somewhat of a Sarah's erva, and eventually she could only get chalitza from Shimon. Right? So in that case, the nachris, the unrelated isha, Sarah, is the ikar. She was the first woman in the family. Still, what do we learn from there? What does the Mishnah teach us? That when the erva arrives and she's incorporated somewhat into the family through that mamar, she affects the first wife. And certainly in this case, says Rashi, in the most recent Mishnah, who is the ikar isha? Who's the primary wife? Rachel, the erva. We're speaking about Reuven, right? So he had his own personal wife. And then Sarah was somewhat connected and brought into the family through the mamar. Certainly, of course, Koshkin, in this case, the other woman, Sarah, will be affected by the erva, who's the primary ikar woman in the family. So what's the point of repeating this halacha? It's so obvious. It can be easily learned from the first halacha. Hainu hach, it's an exact replica. And the Gemara explains itself. Hashta, now, look, and focus on the two cases. Uma hasam, if we find that in the first case, the previous Mishnah, the achos isha habit Sarah lenachris. The nachris, Sarah, is the primary isha in the family of Levi. And then the achos isha somewhat joins her. Amrs, you tell me, nachris asura, it affects Sarah. Hacha, certainly in this second case, the nachris habit Sarah l'achos isha. When the primary isha is the achos isha, the erva, the Rachel is the primary wife of Reuven, and then the nachris somewhat joins her later through the mamar. Losh Koshkin, of course, she'll be affected. Of course, the erva affects the tzara. So why the repetition? What's the point of repeating this halacha? Answers the Gemara, you're right. Tana, the Tana of the Mishnah, Hach Tana Beresha. He actually taught the second, the most recent halacha first. Meaning the more obvious halacha. That the erva can affect the tzara. When the nachris, when tzara joins the family with the erva. V'hach, but actually the previous halacha, chazya le'atera, he thought that would be mutar. Because in that case, the primary isha is Sarah. She's the non-erva. And she can't be affected by the newcomer, by the visitor, who's only slightly joining the family. V'shari, and he figured it would be mutar. That's what the Tana thought. V'hada chazil isur, and then afterwards he changed his mind, decided, even in that case it would be us. The fact is they interacted, there was some sort of relationship between two women, they sort of both were part of the same family, therefore they affect each other. So he concluded that in both cases it's asur. Now the Tana had an exceptional dearness to that first halacha. When you work something out and you toil through it and you conclude with clarity, that's something dear to you, it's personal, and therefore he wanted that halacha to be stated first. Now once you know that, of course you know the second halacha, there's no need to repeat it, you're right, but once the Mishnah was said, it wasn't deleted, he just kept both in place. That's how you got to this configuration where we have two halachas which are so similar to each other, and we actually have the greater chiddush first, followed by the more obvious halacha. Continues the Mishnah, Shloisha Achad, you have three brothers. Shnai mehem nesuim shtei achos. Once again, you have Reuven married to Rachel, Shimon married to his sister, Rachel and Leah's sisters. Ve'echad nasi nachris. And Levi was married to the stranger, to the unrelated Isha. He's married to Sarah. Meis echad mibalei achayos. Now, this time, one of the husbands married to the sisters, let's say Reuben, passed away first. V'kanas nasi nachris es ishtay. And Levi was married to Sarah, took in Rachel. Okay. Umeisa isha sheni. Then Shimon's wife Leah passed away. Right? So, although initially when Reuben passed away, Shimon was not a candidate for Yibum. He could not be Miyabim because Reuben's wife Rachel was his own personal wife, Leah's sister. But now, after Levi was Miyabim Rachel, she joined Levi's family. At this point, Shimon's wife Leah passed away. And in effect, what happened now is that Rachel is no longer his wife's sister. And then Levi passes away, leaving behind Rachel, who he inherited from Reuben, and his own personal wife Sarah. Can Shimon be Miyabim? No. Why? Rachel, who was the first Yevamos, and was unsuitable for Shimon, because at that point, when she fell from Reuben, she was Shimon's wife Leah's sister. Once she's Asur, that Isser sticks with her. It stigmatizes her. Has a permanent effect. Since she became Asur to him. At one point, at any point, she tried to approach him, but she was withheld. She was Asur. So that Isser sticks with her forever. So even though currently speaking, Rachel is no longer an erva to Shimon because his own wife already passed away and she doesn't exist. Still, the Isser that was applied to Rachel at that initial point, at that initial Nafila, sticks with her permanently. Amar Vidamarav, he pretty much echoes the principle of the Mishnah, and he says, Kol Yevama she'enani koire ba b'shas Nafila, Yevama upon which we can't apply. When she is Naifel, when she presents herself Yevum, we can't apply a heter, the pasuk Yevamo Yabi Aleh, basically she's not mutter at that point. That Isser remains on her forever. We treat her like a regular, like a brother's wife who has children, meaning she's Asr forever. Just like an Al-Mishnah. Asks the Gemara, so why does he have to say it? It's a Mishnah. My Kamashman, what is the Chiddush? Tanina, didn't we learn that in the Mishnah? Who during Nafila was Asr, that remains with her forever. There's a reason that perhaps you can differentiate. Maldatema, perhaps I would say. There's a difference between the circumstances. Hani mili. It depends on. So when do we apply this halacha? Hani mili, it's only said, let's say, the Yevama b'shas, while she is noifel, while she presents herself l'yibam, she's asr on this fellow. Throughout the entire period of her Yevama status, she's always asr. Status remains unchanged. So then you're right. Then we say that the Issa remains with her for all time. Even though she was taken over by somebody else, and that person in turn turned around and died, it doesn't matter. The fellow who was Asa to her during that first period of Nefila, when she was considered a Yevama, if he was Asa all throughout that period without let up, that Issa remains forever. Aval, but in a case where it expired during that period. Let's say she became mutter during that point of Nefila. For instance, as Rashi says, let's say, after Reuven's passing, before Rachel entered Levi, before Levi was miyabim her, meaning why she was still a Yevama, a potential Yibum candidate, Shimon's wife, Leah, passed away. And this happened during the Yevama period, so to speak, while she was still a Yevama and not taken up by Levi at all. So perhaps in this case we'll say Emat history. Perhaps she can become mutter because she became mutter throughout that first Nafila period. Kamashwan the Chiddush of Rabbi Yehuda Marav is no. You know what determines? Nefila. The moment of Nefila triggers her status. It determines her halacha. If at the point of Nefila, at the point of her husband's death, there's an Isser to this fellow, that Isser stays forever. Well, Hanami Tanina. That too was already taught in the following Mishnah. Shnei Yach, you have two brothers, Reuven and Shimon. Nusum Shtei is married to two sisters, Reuven to Rachel and Shimon to Leah. Meis Echad Mehem. Reuven passed away. At this point, Shimon cannot be Miyamim because Rachel is his wife, Leah's sister. And then Leah passes away. Should we say that Rachel now becomes revived, so to speak? She becomes mutter? Nobody took her nobody was miyabim her. It's still within the Yevamos period. She remains asa till Shimon forever. Because she became asa tim b'shas nefila. Clearly, even if there is a change in circumstance, even before anybody approached her, she's changed. She's no longer considered his erva. No, the isser that was initiated during the nefila remains with her. So it's a brishna. There's no need for Avida Marav to teach us this halach. Answers the Gemara, there is still a difference between that Mishnah and Rav's Chiddush. Because Maudatim, perhaps I would think and say Hassam. Yeah, in that case, there's nobody else there. It was just Reuven and Shimon. Hassam hu de'itchila mahai beisa lagamri. In that case, she was shoved away from this household, meaning there was nobody here to be miyabim her. It was just Shimon, who was not a candidate at the point of Nefila, because he was still married to Leah, who is Rachel's sister. And Rachel, in fact, is a ervatim. Aval hacha, but say in our Mishnah, we have three brothers, Reuben, Shimon, and Levi. So when Reuben passed away, Rachel, although she was an erva to Shimon, because Shimon was married to Leah, Rachel's wife, sister, but Rachel is perfectly fine for Levi. So perhaps in this case, where she was not shoved away from this household, meaning she was still a potential Yevamos, she was zakuk to there was one brother that could have addressed her. And then, what happened? Before anything happened, before Levi took her, Shimon's wife, Leah, passed away. So while she was still a Yevama, during that initial period of Yevama, something happened that was matir her to Shimon. Perhaps in this case, I would say, he can enter the fray. Ema, I would say, migu de chadi lahai nasi nachris. Migu, since she is suitable for the nasi nachris, for the one who's married to the stranger, meaning to Levi, her yibum status is active. Chadi nami lahai, she should perhaps be roi and suitable for Shimon as well, once he becomes available after his wife's passing. Kamashwan, the chiddush of Rav is no. If there's an isser, in any circumstance, for whatever reason, during the moment of an nefila, that isser remains forever. So basically, we have the halacha of ne'esra, and we have three applications, three different cases of ne'esra. We have where it's just Reuben and Shimon. Reuben passes away, and Shimon is a potential yavam, but he can't because his wife happens to be the Yevamos sister. That's the most simple case of ne'esra. So even if his wife passes away, the isser remains forever. We have a case of three brothers, one passes away, leaving behind two potential Yevams, and this Yevam is an erva to one and not to the other. And the other one is Miyabim, and only later on there's the other brother who was married to this woman's sister, lose that status because his wife passes away. We say once she was Aser, it's always Aser. Then we have the biggest chiddush of all. You have two brothers Yevams, right, Shimon and Levi, and even before anything was done, Shimon became mutter in Rachel because he lost his wife. Leah's off the scene. Still, we say if she's asa during nefila, she remains asa for him forever. The only option is Levi, as we learned in the Mishnah. Continues the Mishnah. Up until now, we spoke about the three brothers, and there was some passing away that happened. Now we're going to learn about gerushin, divorcing. Shloisha achim, you have the three brothers, the same three brothers. Shnai mehem nesuin shtei achayos, two of which are married to sisters. Reuben to Rachel, Shimon to Levi. Ve'echad nosi nachris. The third one, Levi married to Sarah, a stranger. Giresh echad mi balei achayos, es ishtay. Reuben divorces Rachel. Umeis nosi nachris. And then Levi passes away. Ve'konsa hamagarish. And Reuben did yibum to Sarah. Umeis, and then Reuben passes away. Can Shimon, his surviving brother, be miyabim as Sarah? Zuish Amru, on this, the Chachamim tell us, certainly, yes, Vikula and all those Arayas. In this case, who's the Erva? Rachel, who was Shimon's wife, Leah, as his sister. That Erva was removed, was taken off the scene prior to any Yibum circumstance. Vikulan Shemeis, Oinis Gash, all the Arayas who passed away or were divorced prior to the moment of Yibum. Sarah Seyun Mutar, the companion wives. In this case, it's Sarah, who joined Reuven's family, is unaffected by Rachel, who was not present when she arrived in the family. Now we have a diak from the Mishnah. Tama de Giresh v'achach meis. This only works because Reuven first divorced Rachel, removed Rachel from the scene, and then Levi passes away, presenting Sarah to Reuven for Yibum. Aval meis. But let's say Levi would have passed away first, presenting his wife Sarah Yibum to Reuven. Asura. Sarah would be affected by Rachel, who is Reuven's wife. Why? She's not yet married to Reuven. She hadn't joined his family. She's not a companion wife to Rachel the Erva. The answer is Zika. Amar Rav Ashi, Zoy Semeris, we learn from this Mishnah, Yesh Zika. We have to reckon with Zika. It's considered a bond, a connection. It's as though she joined Reuven's family and became Rachel the Erva's companion wife. Afilu b'triyach, even though you have two brothers here. When Levi passes away, you have two potential brothers that can do Yibum, Reuven and Sheni. So perhaps it's not really a designated bond, it's not really a true Zika. No, even in this case we apply Zika, and she's considered connected to Reuven and part of his family and affected by Rachel the Erva. Ula Rav Ashi, Kasha de Rav Nachman. One Kasha on Rav Ashi is from Rav Nachman, back on the top of the Amid, who had a diak from the Mishnah that we don't apply Zika. We had the case there of the same three brothers. Reuven and Shimon married to sisters. Levi married to a stranger, Sarah. Reuven passed away, leaving behind Rachel. And Levi did ma'amar to Rachel. Does it affect his own wife? So when he passes away, what happens? Can Shimon be miyabim? He can't be miyabim Rachel, who is Shimon's wife, Leah's sister, but can he be miyabim Sarah? Is she affected by Rachel? Is she a Sarah or not? Mishnah spoke about Mamar, making some sort of connection and affecting Sarah. We had a diak. Apparently it's only because he did something, but otherwise just mere fact that Rachel was bound, was meant for Levi, doesn't connect it to Levi's family, doesn't affect Sarah. That was an indication that ain't Zika. We don't have to reckon with this bond, with this Yibum obligation. So that would seem to indicate the opposite of Rav Ashi's din of Yesh Zika. Rav Ashi will respond, let's relearn that Mishnah. You know, in that case, even if Levi would not have done anything to Rachel, no mamar at all. Now Rachel is just zakuk to Levi. Still, it would affect Levi's own wife. Zika is to be reckoned with. Nachris michletz cholza. Sarah would have just been eligible for chalitza from Shimon. Yevumila biyama, but no yibum, because she's affected by Rachel. She's considered somewhat of a tsaras erva, merely as a result of Zika. V'adiktani mamar. Why then does the Mishnah stress mamar creating the trouble? If Zika in itself can do the same job, Lafukim Beis Shammai is trying to contrast. It's trying to teach us not to follow Beis Shammai, to undo Shitas Beis Shammai, the Amri mamar koine kinyan gomer, as opposed to Beis Shammai who hold that mamar makes a true kinyan, and when Levi actually does mamar to Rachel, it's as though he actually married her, and she's really part of his family, and she affects Sarah to the highest regard, and makes her like a tsaras erva, true tsaras erva, who's exempt from all halachas, even or chalitza kamashwan. The chiddush in the mission is no. The loy Beis Shammai. We don't follow Beis Shammai. Mamar is not so impactful, although it has somewhat of an effect on Sarah, but not to the point that it makes her a tsaras erva. But of course, the same concept will apply as a result of just plain Zika. The fact that Rachel was bound to Levi, it's as though she somewhat joined the family and affects Sarah. So bottom line is, according to Rav Ashi, Yesh Zika, and he interprets our Mishnah, which indicates that there is some case where it is problematic. He learns it to be based on the Zika concept, and likewise the Mishnah on top of the Amud would also follow that line. Now, Rav Nachman, Kasha de Rav Ashi, but Rav Nachman holds differently. He was the one who held the Ein Zika. How does he learn this most recent Mishnah, which seems to indicate that in some cases it is problematic? Let's just refresh again. We had 3 brothers. Reuven and Shimon married to sisters. Levi married to a stranger. Mishnah speaks about Levi passing away first. Reuven being megarish Rachel first, getting her off the scene. And then Levi passing away. And Reuven marrying Sarah, the wife of Levi. And Reuven passing away. Shimon is free to be miyavim Sarah. She's unaffected by Reuven's former wife because she was taken off the scene before anything happened. We had a diuk that only this works. But there's some other case which is a problem. Now we have actually 3 possible scenarios to tack onto the Mishnah. 3 problematic cases. Rav Ashi chose one based on the Zika concept. Rav Nachman, who doesn't hold to the Zika. So which case is problematic? Kasha de Rav Ashi, what is he going to do with the diuk of Rav Ashi? The Mishnah indicates that there is some case that is a problem. Perhaps you'll say, you know what, the same din would apply. Even if things would have happened differently than described in the Mishnah. Let's say Levi would have passed away first, and then Reuven would have been megarish his wife Rachel. Tzarasa Muteres, we would still be matid at Tzara, meaning when Reuven marries Sarah and he passes away, Shimon can be miyavim Sarah. She's unaffected by Rachel, despite the fact that Sarah presented herself to Reuven for Yibam. She had Zika while Rachel was still on the scene. We don't hold of Zika. Can that work? Okay, perhaps. But Ela Zuhi, when the Mishnah says, well, this is okay, this is mutter, Limute Mai, what is it coming to exclude? As opposed to what? The Mishnah is clearly indicating that there is some case which is problematic. Which case is that? If it's not the Zika concern, what then? Oh, we have another option. I'll give you another case where it's not going to work. Limute, as opposed to a case as follows. Kanas, Levi passed away. Reuven stepped forward and was meyabim Sarah, while he still had his own wife Rachel, who's an heir to his brother Shimon, right? Shimon's wife, Leah's sister. So he did Yibam first, and then he divorced his wife, Achak Girish, and then he removed Rachel from the scene. This case is problematic. You know why? Because Rachel and Sarah experienced the same household, they're part of the same family. They're both married to Reuven at the same point in time. Of course, Sarah is affected. She's a tzuras erva. That's what the Mishnah is coming to exclude. That would be problematic. Now, that's also not so simple. You know why? That works according to Shittas Rabbi Yirmiyah. You see, back enough, we had this very question. A fundamental shaila. What constitutes tzuras erva? So you know what it means? That is another wife together with the erva in the same family. When was she together with her? Does she have to be together with her during the moment of Yibum? When the husband passes away? That's what triggers the din of tzuras erva, joining her in a Yibum circumstance. That's one opinion. So if the erva was somehow taken off the scene a minute before Yibum, that's okay. She doesn't affect the tzara. Tzuras erva is a Yibum concept, no more. The other pshat is, it's a Yirmiyah, he's machmir, he says, as long as the other Isha experienced, she was in the company of an erva any time throughout this fellow's marriage, it affects her. She's a tzuras erva. So this suggestion of yours, that if Reuven was miyabim Sarah and then got rid of Rachel, Sarah is considered tzuras erva, that works according to who? Only according to that shita. That works if Rabbi Nachman follows Rabbi Yirmiyah, the Amma who said, indeed, as such. Tavra, let's break apart the Mishnahs. You see, in the Mishnah of Beis Amud Aleph, we seem to have a diuk that the tzara is only affected by the erva if they were together during Yibum. Otherwise, it's okay. Whereas over here in the Lamed, we just had a diuk which indicated the reverse, that the tzara is affected by the erva if they were together any time during his lifetime. So it's a stira, it's a contradiction between the Mishnahs. Tavra, let's sort of break them apart. They're authored by different Tanaim. Misha Shanazu, the one who authored one Mishnah, Lo Shanazu, didn't author the other one. Vai Tana Savar Misa Mapelas. Tana back in the Beis follows the concept of Misa being the determinant factor when it comes to Yibum. That's what triggers, that's what enables Yibum. And It all depends on whether or not the erva was there during Misa, but otherwise, if she was removed before Misa, she doesn't affect the tzara. That's the first Mishnah. Whereas the Mishnah Naflamed, which indicates that any sort of association with the erva, they were together, they were companions, any time throughout his lifetime, throughout the marriage, that taint, that affects it, tzara. Because Nisuin Harishonim Apilim, the marriage is what triggers the Yibam, and that's what determines the status of the Tzoras Erva. So according to Rabbi Yirmiyah, yeah, it works. When the Mishnah says Zuhi Lemute Kanas or Seif Girish, only the case in the Mishnah is okay, but in the case where it's Kanas, Reuven, who was still married to Rachel, the Erva of Shimon, married Sarah, and then Ul Basef Girish, and then he divorced Rachel, that affects the Tzara. That works. Ela Isav Rava, but if Rav Nachman, who was trying to explain the Mishnah, would follow Rava's Shita, who takes a more lenient approach, they have to be together during Yibum, only then does it affect the Tzara. Damar, he says, Lo'ilam Chatanu. The Mishnah back in Naf Beis, the Mishnah Naf Lamed, were both authored by the same Shita. The Tzara is only affected by the Erva if they were present during the Yibum moment of Yibum. Vizu, and the Mishnah of Beis, which says that as long as the erva was taken off the scene before Yibam, it doesn't affect the tzara, which is a greater chiddush, right? And certainly, needless to say, it goes without saying that the Mishnah of Lamed, where the tzara only entered the family after the erva was taken away. She never experienced her, she never joined her in the family. The Mishnah is following that type of formula. I'll give you a bigger chiddush, and needless to say, of course, it goes without saying that the next case would be mutter. So according to him, as long as they weren't together during the moment of nefila, as long as Rachel was long gone before Reuven himself passed away and created the Yibam situation in his family, it's okay. So back to our Mishnah, which case is problematic? Which case would prevent Sarah from Yibum? Zuhi, only this case, Lamutimai, as opposed to which case? Oh, Salkarcha Rabbi Yirmiyah, you must conclude that Rav Nachman was trying to explain our Mishnah is following Rabbi Yirmiyah. And the problematic case is where the companion wife, the Sarah, experienced the Erva's presence anytime throughout his marriage. As we said, Levi passed away, Reuven married Sarah, and then divorced Rachel. Sarah is now Tzoras Erva. So when Reuven passes away, she's also to Shimon. So that's option number 2 in the Mishnah. Again, the Mishnah is indicating that there is some problematic case. We had Rav Ashi's approach based on Zika. We have Rav Nachman's approach. Here comes the third approach, Ula Rava. But according to Rava, who took a more lenient approach when it came to that shaila of Tzoras Erva. How do you define Tzoras Erva? According to him, it applies strictly in a case where the Tzara and the Erva were together during Nefila, during Yibum. So how does he interpret our Mishnah, which indicates that there's some problematic case? If he follows Rav Ashi's approach that Zika connection is to be reckoned with, then very simple. Zuhi Lemute, when the Mishnah indicates that there's some problem, is speaking about a case as follows. Meis Beloy Girish. Levi passed away. Reuven never bothered to divorce Rachel. He never did Gerish, not at all. And then Reuven passes away. Shimon is the sole surviving brother, married to Leah, Reuven's wife Rachel's sister. So what's the problem? Because when Levi passed away, initially, Sarah was bound to Reuven and Shimon. She had Zika to Reuven, as though she entered his family. This is Rav Ashi's concept, which Rava is following as well. It's as though she joined his family and never got rid of the Yarvi, never got rid of Rachel at all. He died married to her. In this case, certainly, Sarah, the Tzoras Erva, because of the Zika connection to Reuven and to Reuven's wife. So that's the case that the Mishnah is trying to exclude. This would be a problematic case. Elo Isav Rav Nachman, but if Rava would follow Rav Nachman that Zika is not to be reckoned with, then we're in trouble. Zuhi L'mutimai, what is the Mishnah indicating? What's the problem? Give me a case that's problematic. We can't find it. Al Kochak Rav Ashi Svirli, it must be that Rava follows Rav Ashi, And the problematic circumstances based on Zika, as we explained. Okay, so bottom line is like this. In the Mishnah we learn, you have Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Reuven and Shimon married to his sisters. Levi married to a stranger, to Sarah. Reuven was Megarish, his wife Rachel, va'achach meis, and then Levi passed away. And then Reuven was Meyabim Sarah, and Reuven passed away. Sarah is mutter to marry Shimon. That's the halach in the Mishnah. Mishnah indicates that there is some problematic case where this heter wouldn't apply. We have three possible scenarios. We have Rav Ashir's pshat, Rav Nachman's pshat, and Rav's pshat, and they're all based on their own, their own notions, their own personal shittas. Rav Ashi, who holds yesh zika, the problematic case is like this. Levi passed away first. Sarah now is a zakuka to Reuven, who's still holding on to, who's still married to Rachel the Ever. And then Reuven is Megarish Rachel, too late. Because Sarah was already committed to Reuven through Zika, so though she joined his family and was affected by Rachel. So now when Reuven passes away, she's utter to Shimon. Rav Nachman works with Ein Zika, but he holds Nisuin Mapil, and he holds that in concept. Any woman who was in the company of an erva throughout this fellow's lifetime, she is affected by the erva. So according to him, the problematic case is as follows. Levi passed away. Reuven was Kanas. He married Levi before he divorced Rachel, and then he was Megarish. Reuven was Megarish Rachel. Too late. Sarah was affected. She's an erva to Shimon. According to Rava, who holds Misa Mapelas, a Torah is never affected by an erva unless they were together during the moment of death, the moment of the potential yibum. So Rav Nachman's option doesn't work for Rava. Rather, it's as follows. Rava holds like Rav Ashi, Yesh Zika. Zika binds and connects and is to be reckoned with. The problematic case is as follows. Mace, Levi died, and then later on, Reuven, without even doing anything to Sarah, he didn't do yibum. He held on to Rachel, he was not Megarish, and then he passed away. Now Sarah is presenting to Shimon, but since she was Zakuk to Reuven, who was married to the erva, she's affected by the erva, and she's asal yibum to Shimon. Continues the Mishnah, back onto the topic of Tzoras erva. The Chulon, all those different types of arayas, 15 women who are ervas, who affect the Tzoras as well. Shayu ben Kedushin a Gerushin besafik. Let's say there's some sort of uncertainty when it comes to the Kedushin status of that Isha. So we have Reuven, we have Shimon. Reuven was married to Rachel, who was a regular Isha, not an erva to Shimon. Then he attempted Kedushin with Leah, who was an erva to Shimon, Shimon's daughter, Shimon's mother-in-law. We're not sure whether the Kedushin took hold. Or Gerushin, or he was married to the erva, but perhaps he attempted a divorce. We're not sure whether the divorce was effective. So basically, we don't know whether the other Isha, Rachel, is affected by the erva. Is she a tzoros ever? Was the erva even part of the family? Did she ever enter the family? Perhaps she left the family in time. So what happens to the tzara? We make a compromise. We apply chalitza and not yibum. We're concerned that perhaps they're a tzoros erva. We don't allow yibum, but we do chalitza. Kates at suffik kedushin. What's an example of a suffik kedushin? Zarakal kedushin. You're standing in the street and he tossed her some money. Suffik karav. We're not sure. So within his 4 amos, in which case it's still in his possession and not really handed to her. Suffik karav, or perhaps it's closer to her. It's within her 4 amos. And she is kained, in which case it's an effective kedushin. Zev suffik kedushin. This is a suffik kedushin. We're not sure whether he acquired the erva and the other woman is a tzoros erva or not. What's a suffik gerushin? A problematic get. Kasav b'ksav yadai. Husband actually wrote the get himself with his own handwriting. Ve'enol of Edom, and there are no Edom signed on it. Or Yeshal of Edom, there are witnesses signed. Ve'en b'izman, there's no date on the document. Or Yesh b'izman, it's dated. Ve'en b'el edechad, only have one witness. Rashi explains this is a problematic get. Zeo suffik gerushin, that's considered suffik gerushin. So although Minat Torah, the get does work, but if we allow the tzara to go liyibum, based on the fact that the erva was divorced with this get, which is really effective, people might not realize. They'll say, "Oh, 1 second, that wasn't a proper get. The erva was still married. This woman is a tzaras erva, and a tzaras erva is going liyibum. We don't allow it." So the Mishnah had 2 examples of suffix. When it comes to kedushin, we're not sure where it landed, closer to him or to her. But when it comes to the suffix gerushin, the Mishnah described it differently. Some sort of problematic get, which is technically a get, but it doesn't appear as such. So we have to cover that confusion and account for any possible misunderstanding. Why that discrepancy between describing the suffix kedushin and suffix gerushin? V'ilu begerushin. When it comes to gerushin, suffix karev lo, suffix karev lo like tani. The Mishnah doesn't describe it as being a true suffix. He threw the getter, not sure where it landed. The Mishnah chose to present it in a different type of suffix gerushin, which isn't really a suffix, as we explained in the name of Rashi. The get is really a valid get, but it perhaps doesn't appear as such, and we have to take that into account. But a true suffix is not described in the Mishnah. Let's say it's a real suffix. Mishnah doesn't talk about it, which would seem to indicate that if it's just a real suffix, you're not sure if it was really an effective get or not, we do not apply the halach of the Mishnah. We don't apply chalitza to the other woman. My time, and what's the difference? Why? Rabbi, you know why? Isha zu b'cheskas heter l'shukay medes. Reuben, when he was married to Rachel, his own wife, and Leah, the erva, at the point before this suffix gerushin came into play, what was the status of Rachel and Leah? B'cheskas heter l'shuk. They were totally mutter to marry out. Leah being an erva and Rachel a tzaras erva. U'mesafek atabala isra. You're trying to apply an isser on Rachel by suggesting and speculating that perhaps Leah's gerushin was affected and she was taken off the scene, which enables Rachel yibum. You can't do that. You can't undo the heter that she had previously. Al tasrena misafek. You can't apply an isser misafek. Therefore, if it's a real suffix, it would not affect Rachel. Amali Abaye, says Abaye. Yochei b'kedushin nami. What about the case of kedushin? So Reuben was married to Rachel. We're not sure whether he acquired another isha. It's a suffix kedushin. Why does it affect Rachel? You don't allow her to be miyabim on account of the chance that she's a suffix erva. What do you mean? Based on your concept of chazaka, let's allow it. The name it, we should say isha zu b'cheskas heter liyabam medes. Until he engaged with Leah and got involved in the suffix kedushin, Rachel was a perfectly enabled Yevamos. She was destined for Yibum with Shimon. You're just trying to apply a suffix now due to this uncertainty. Perhaps you you acquired Leah. You're trying to affect Rachel and make a tzaras erva and disallow her Yibum with Shimon. Al tasrena misafek. You have no right to apply Isser misafek. What's the difference? Hasam lo chumra. Yeah, over there it's just a chumra. We're saying that she should not marry the Yavam. You're allowed to do a chumrah. Don't marry, just do chalitza. The more will actually ask. So by gerushin, do the same thing. We'll get to that in a minute. Before that, you're saying it's a chumrah when preventing Rachel from Yibam. Guess what? Hay chumrah de'asi l'dei kuluhu. This isn't just a plain chumrah. It's a chumrah that can actually generate an unjustified kula, can create misunderstanding and confusion, which could come to pitfall in halacha. Why? Because when you're not allowing Rachel to be miyavim, basically you're indicating that there's a strong chance that she is a tzaras erva, that the other woman, Leah, that he did suffix condition to, was properly neskadish and incorporated into the family and affects Rachel, right? The observer will deduce from here that Leah was properly married and neskadish to this fellow Reuben. And they'll treat her as an Eshes Ish, in which case, Zimnan de Azel hu umekadesh lalachai. So perhaps if Reuben himself would go to the sister of Leah, right? You can't be mekadesh a sister of your wife. So he goes ahead and he mekadesh a sister of Leah. Let's call her Sarah. Kiddush Yivadi. He does a proper kedushin to Sarah. He'll treat that kedushin as ineffective, invalid, because he'll think that he was already mekadesh Leah, in which case he can't be mekadesh Sarah. This is going to create confusion. Vinami, another room for a pitfall is Zimnan da'asa achar mekadosh lo lidida. Perhaps another stranger will come over to Leah, who went through the Safek Kedushin with Reuven, and do a Kedushin, a Kedushin Avade, a certain Avade Kedushin. And people will think, well, it's ineffective because Leah is already married. How do we know she's married? Because look, B'kivan da'asa lamar letzara livyumi. The fact is, you don't allow Rachel, the tzara of Leah, to go to Yibam, based on this premise that she's a tzara of Leah, who's an Erev to Shimon. So you're sort of treating Leah as though she's married to Reuven, right? Rachel's problematic status, Rachel's Erev status is indicative of the fact that she's a companion wife of Leah, that Leah is already married to Reuven. And they'll say, Amri, people will say, based on this, the Kama Kedushin, the first one was a proper Kedushin, or the Bashalav Kedushin, the second one isn't. Which isn't really true, because we're not sure if the first one was or was not a Kedushin. You have to treat the whole thing as a big suffix. Maybe the first one's Kedushin was not a proper Kedushin, and the second one is. She's married to him. This is going to create mega confusion. So by treating Rachel as a suffix tzaras erva, you're creating a pitfall. People might deduce that Rachel is a companion wife of Leah. Leah is truly married to Reuven, and it's not so. Answers the Gemara, well, we're going to avoid that confusion. Given the kamatzrachas chalitza, the fact is you require chalitza to be applied to Rachel. Apparently she's not just a plain tzaras erva, which is exempt from all things. So that is sufficient indication. May the yadi, everybody realizes the chumrah ba'amu, it's just a chumrah that we apply chalitza. It's just a chumrah that we don't allow the yibam. They'll realize that there's the problematic situation, there's a suffix situation. We're not sure what happened. Maybe Leah was niskalish to Reuven, maybe she wasn't, we're not sure. And therefore, they'll treat it as such. Oh, here comes the kasha. Just as you apply chalitza to the suffix kedushin, we're not sure whether you brought the ervin to your home, you have to treat the other woman as a suffix. So as ervin you apply chalitza, yachi gerush nami. Let's get back to the shaila we had. He tossed a ger at this isha, at this ervin. Not sure whether it was an effective gerushin or not. You're not sure if the ervin left a home which freed the tzara and able to liyibum or not. We avoided that case. Why? Because the tzara was becheskas heter, l'shuk, etc. Well, in that case as well, let's at least do a chalitza. Gerushin nami, listen, Mishnah should mention a suffix gerushin. V'litzrucha chalitza, and let's do chalitza to the potentially suffix tzaras erva. Or maybe everybody will realize the same idea. The chumrah ba'amu, it's just a chumrah, it won't cause pitfall. No, there's different. Imato imer chaletzes, because if you apply chalitza, mis yabemis, it might lead them to actually do yibum, and that's certainly problematic. Because there's always a chance that Rachel is really a tzaras erva. You're not sure if Leah was divorced or not, right? She really wasn't divorced. She was part of the family. Rachel a tzaras erva. Yibum is terrible. So we don't do chalitza. It might lead to yibum. Well, hachanami, in the case of the suffix kedushin, you're not sure if you brought the erva into your home. Same concern. If you make chalitza to the other wife, misyabem is it might lead to yibum. Same concern. Teretz. Okay, at worst case she'll do yibum. That's not terrible. Because after all, she has a chazaka. There's an assumption, a presumption that she's meant to the yavam. Reuven was married to Rachel, and then a suffix kedushin with Leah the erva. We're not sure if she arrived or not. Rachel still has a chazaka that she's a regular Yevama and a potential Yevama candidate, a potential Yibum candidate. So al pi halacha, even if you actually do Yibum to Rachel, it's not so terrible. You're just following the chazaka. So in this case, we apply chalitza without any concern. So bottom line is like this. The Mishnah speaks about a suffix tzaras ervas chayletzes. The Mishnah only mentions the suffix kedushin when he tossed it and is unsure whether it arrived or not. But we don't mention the same thing with a get, indicating that if it's a real suffix gerushin, we don't do anything. What's the difference? The answer is, by gerushin, she had a cheskas heter, l'shuk, right? She was part of the family with the erva. She is not a yibum candidate, and therefore we don't want to apply chalitza because it might lead to yibum, which is certainly asur, as opposed to a case where Reuven was married to Rachel, only to Rachel, and then he did a kiddushin with Leah the erva, Safek kiddushin. Rachel was becheska seter. She had a chazaka. She was mutar liyibum. Therefore, we take the liberty to apply chalitza as a chumrah, because even b'diavad, if she actually does the yibum, it's not so terrible, because al pi din, she is mutar liyibum based on her chazak. Okay, let's do a quick, brief chazar of today's daf. We learned about mamer, creating some sort of partial connection between the erva and the other tzara, and therefore it doesn't allow the tzara to do yibum. She's somewhat affected. Rather, we do chalitza. We learned about the concept of nes rosha achas. Once the Yevamos is unsuitable, unfit for yibum with this fellow, even though that circumstance might change, it stays with her. She's asa forever, whether it's just one brother standing here trying to do the yibum, or even if there are two brothers. And even if there are two brothers and one brother, although it was usher initially at the point of nefila, became mutator, that status doesn't change. She remains usher for all time. We continue with the Mishnah, which featured a case of a gerushin where the erva was taken off the scene. The Mishnah indicated that there is some problematic case. We have three options for that halacha, depending on your shita. And we conclude with the Mishnah discussing a suffix tzaras erva where chalitza is applied. All the best here and much hatzlacha.